Hello. Welcome back to Sapling Tarot. My name is Imogen. I've been here for a year. Can you believe it? This is my 1 year Tarot Tube channel-versary. We fucking made it, folks. I started a year ago thinking I would maybe do like 2 videos a month, but not wanting to push it. And here we are. I don't know, like 64 videos later. I think this is my 64th video, maybe 65th, fuck knows, something like that, which is distinctly more than the 24 I hoped for. And I added it all up because of course I did, and it's 27.5 hours worth of videos, which is bananas to me. I hate to think how much actual footage that is because I have to cut a lot of out of my videos. And then also at time of recording I'm at like nearly 500 subscribers, which is bananas to me. It's bananas to me that anyone cares about what I have to say. I'm just here to join in. We'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, nearly 500 people. I wouldn't be caught dead in a room with 500 people. I'm terrified. I feel absolutely shitting myself. But I'm wildly grateful for the funny little community, said lovingly. I realise that sounds really mean. But yeah, the kind of, the little community that we're building here and the Tarot Tube community at large. Like, I've made proper friends. Who'd have thunk it? Like, I've, because of the kind of person I am, I have had internet friends before. Most of my friends are internet friends. I don't leave my house enough to make IRL friends. Yeah, there's like people that I know now that I have in my life that I speak to on like an almost daily basis. And that is wild to me, that you're here watching this video and that you care at all. And I think that's a fairly common experience of people who make internet content, etc. So, highlights, the friends we made along the way, genuinely. Yeah, like being invited into kind of community spaces and stuff fills my heart so much more than I can possibly express. And yeah, I'm just, super grateful. It sounds really naff. I don't know how to phrase it in a way that sounds less trite, but thanks for being here. My favourite things that I've made have been like anything that has combined my interests. So obviously I'm a big old fucking tarot nerd, but like anything that's pulled in other interests makes my brain sparkle. But then also anything that builds community and like, contributes to a broader community discussion, to like some of the best YouTube friends I've made started with that like occult tea tag, which I had no business contributing to. This isn't really like a witchy channel. I had, I don't know, like 5 subscribers or something, but I had opinions and I just wanted to be a part of it. And now some of the best friends that I've made on here, we know each other because of that tag. What a year. Speaking of community building, I made a tag this year. I have a plan for a tag that is not so like deck focused, that's more getting to know people thing, but I haven't quite figured out how to present it as a thing that people might want to join in on. But I did make a deck tag this year, the Tarot Bartender. At time of recording, I've had like nearly 30 responses, which again is wild. Kelly Bear made 2 responses. Can you believe it? That people enjoyed my silly little prompts about cocktails and potions enough to join in. I want to make a whole like reckoning video about that because it's been so much fun watching everyone's videos. Tarotism was, such a fun little project to kind of put together because it's something that I think about all the time, but it has also sparked other stuff, which hopefully is coming soon. You will hear more about that shortly. But yeah, things that bring together my interests, things that bring together other people. Fucking loved it. Being part of the Witches for Palestine project, I guess. The second part of which is coming soon, so please do keep an eye out for that. There's also fundraising links in my description box. Yeah, what an amazing thing to be a part of. Raising money for medical aid for Palestinians, and also all of this mutual aid that's going to help refugees in Cairo. Amazing to be a part of something like that. And then on a sillier note, the window shopping series, and just talking shit with you in the comments about the wild new releases that are coming, and all the strange combinations and permutations of things that people shoehorn together with tarot and oracle, and I love it. I think it's so much fun. So that's my year on TarotTube. Don't really know what else to say about it. I'm fucking thrilled. It's been so much fun. Here's to another year, hopefully. Let's see. And now I'm going to do the tarot community build of Crescent Dreams Tarot via Tangy Tarot. First things first, name, pronouns, channel name, Imogen, pronouns, they, she, channel name, Sapling Tarot, which is my tarot universe, persona, whatever, name, thing, business. What first got you into tarot, and if you have a channel, why did you create it? I've told this story ad nauseum, but I had a tarot reading from my next door neighbour when I was a young teenager. I can't be more specific than that. I can't remember. I really looked up to her, still do. She was really cool. She was very, like, I think she was a sociologist, and just very intelligent in like an academic sense, but also very like emotionally intelligent and very wise. So I had an awful lot of time and respect for her. And so when she offered to give me a tarot reading, it felt a little bit at odds with, or it felt like it was at odds at the time. I now obviously know a lot of tarot readers know that is not at odds. We run the gamut of all different sorts of people from all sorts of different backgrounds, all sorts of other interests, life experiences, all sorts. There is no one tarot reader, but it still kind of surprised me. Leave me be, I was like, I don't know, 13 or something. And I was absolutely captivated immediately. It was the coolest thing. It was so interesting. I mean, it was interesting, it was fascinating, but also it was like it tapped into something in me that it really cut through so much small talk. I think was part of it, was that you could get straight to effectively like the workings of someone's soul. Like, I've talked about this before, but she'd actually do a past life reading in that afternoon, which, as I've said before, in hindsight is fucking wild to be doing like a past life reading for a 13, 14-year-old. I think that's hilarious. I wouldn't do that now, but I wouldn't be where I am if she hadn't, so I respect her decisions and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, so then I was captivated. I know that she did a reading for my mum, and my mum was like pretty blown away. I think my mum had had like a similar feeling of like, that's unexpected, in terms of the person and the tarot, but then had the reading, was like, all right. And so I think I asked my mum for a copy of the tarot deck that she used, and so I got that deck very soon after, like for my birthday or something, and I mean used it, like that was my only deck for the first, yeah, I mean like probably more than 10 years that I was reading tarot. But I got so into it. I used to read for my friends, I used to read for myself, just on this one deck, and yeah, just fell in love with it, absolutely. Yeah, never looked back, obviously. In terms of starting a channel, why did I create it? I wanted to join in, just wanted to be a part of it. people having these fascinating conversations and discussions of topics that just make my heart go like pitter-patter and my brain do like that fun sparky thing. And I've been writing my responses into my tarot journal and, you know, writing out tags and thinking about responses to them and all of that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, just decided that I was gonna dive straight in with Kelly Bear's 54321 tarot tag, and just kept going from there. And I suppose the thing that pushed me into making more videos is just being so fucking excited about all the different conversations, all the different tags, all the different things to make responses to. And it just did that thing that inspiration does, where it just kind of snowballs on itself. And so now I have like fuck off great massive lists of things I want to make videos about, and things I want to talk about, and things I want to ask people about. And yeah, it's just super fun. And yeah, so that's why I think there had been an idea sort of floated to me sort of early on, and when I was trying to make a go of reading tarot professionally, that a tarot YouTube channel would be like a good sort of like business decision, and that was simply not sufficient motivation for me to do anything, apparently. So I'd been thinking about it for a while, but eventually it was they're just kind of bursting from the seams wanting to join in. And you can blame all of the Gemini in my chart for just wanting to be involved, wanting to chat, wanting to talk to people, and wanting an environment for info dumping that is slightly more like socially acceptable than just talking ad nauseum over the dinner table. Question number 3 is maybe the hardest one of these questions. What is your tarot aesthetic? Basically, what kinds of decks are you attracted to? And I've made some really great notes for this, which is, I don't know, I can't figure it out. You may be in a better position if you've watched any of my videos to tell me what my aesthetic is, because I couldn't fucking tell you. I couldn't tell you clothes wise. I couldn't tell you any kind of like style, core, aesthetic, vibe. Like, I like a lot of things. I'm quite open to experimenting with different stuff. I don't know. I suppose when it comes to buying tarot decks, oracle decks, whatever, buying decks, buying things in general, I try to think about like what the thing is doing that is different from things that I own already. What purpose does it serve? What kind of new perspective? So particularly with decks, it's like, what new perspective or layer of knowledge is this bringing in? This is not foolproof. I do sometimes just buy things because they are pretty and that is kind of enough reason, particularly if they like pop up on eBay or Vinted or whatever. But I try to only buy ones that like add another layer of knowledge to things, or like something really unique in perspective beyond pretty artwork. I try. That's like my attempt at curbing the desire to just have all of the things. And I suppose that's like where my weak point is if something is saying something from a perspective that I've not seen before. You know, not to say that something is necessarily totally unique, but that I've not come across, particularly if it's something that I've been interested in for a while and I've thought that all the previous versions were ugly. Then if you can do like a visually appealing to my sensitivities version of something that I'm fascinated in, then I will probably just hand you my wallet. I'm not saying it's responsible, it just happens to be the truth. But like aesthetics, visually, I couldn't really tell you what my thing is. I know that when I did the Why Witchcraft video, the VR to Lennon Smith's video, there was a thing about like what witchy aesthetic, and I'm like, I don't have one. I don't know, stealth, Like, I don't know if like moving through the world I look like what people think of as a witch or as a tarot reader. I mean, I'm in my dressing gown now, so maybe that gives you a little bit more kind of wafty spiritual something, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know at all. I think it's kind of a hard thing to say about yourself unless it's like a decision you've made. You know, I like dark academia, this is my thing, this is what I'm aiming for, or whatever, whereas like I like loads of stuff. That was a very long answer, I'm sorry. So what happens if I don't have notes? What tarot system is your favourite and which do you want to learn? So I don't have a favourite. Oh, I'm just so airy. I will not be pulled to make a decision about things, or like to define a preference. You know, Gemini, non-binary, pansexual. Like, you can't make me pick a team. You just can't. Anyway, I'm most familiar with the Smith-Waite. I learned on the Osho Zen, which is kind of loosely based on the Smith-Waite system, which, you know, Golden Dawn, etc., is, you know, a sibling of the Thoth. But yeah, so like of like Smith-Waite, Thoth, Marseille, I'm most familiar with the Smith-Waite. Most decks are Smith-Waite these days. I really love reading with pip systems. I don't tend to do that professionally because I think people the imagery. Is that true? I don't know, like I feel like it can be easier to communicate meanings and get more of like an emotional response, in my experience. Obviously there are like incredible tarot readers who read Thoth, Marseille, other pip styles, all of those sorts of things, and you don't need that like back and forth thing so much. I suppose, yeah, it's a preference thing. I like reading with more like narrative pips professionally, but I love using, like personally, wow, I'm talking around in circles, I love using pip decks for myself because I like the quick and dirty, I like the playing cards, I like all of that kind of stuff. I've come around to Thoth. The artwork was always going to get me eventually. Like, I like Lenormand. I purely just from like a practical perspective, like laying out a grand tableau is, I find it really satisfying, and I really like taking a picture of it and then like referring to it over a longer amount of time. But like just from the like having to lay out all of the cards and finding a space big enough, I don't do an awful lot, but I really like it. In terms of what I want to learn, I want to get better at all of these things. I want to learn more about Marseille, other pip systems, more ways of reading playing cards. Thoth, I only have like a very kind of rudimentary knowledge of, same with the Normand, but like in particular I really want to get to grips with the Itala system, maybe by like the end of the year or something. I got a deck from eBay a few months ago, and oh yeah, that was it. I read The Cloisters by Katie Hay, which is set in the cloisters of the Met in New York, and that is like a big like tarot story. If you ever look up tarot decks on Vinted in particular, this book comes up all the fucking time. It's really easy to get a copy of, and the deck that they use in that book is an Itala tarot, and well, it's not even called a tarot deck, is it, but the Itala something, I don't know, but I thought it was really interesting, so I got a like proper vintage one off eBay for significantly less money than it was worth, I think, but it's really old. So I was feeling the mood for that kind of tactile experience of like the really, really old cards that kind of leave your hands feeling a bit funny. As soon as I've like broken it in and it's like my hands that have been all over it, then it'll be fine, but you know, sensory things. But yeah, I would like to get to grips with that sooner rather than later. Just another string to my bow, etc. Yeah, top 3 favourite major arcana. Hey, your deck. I've already pulled all the majors out of the deck that I'm using, so for another reason, so I don't have them on me. Could I go and get another deck and pull all the majors out of it? Yes, I could. Do I want to? Not really. So my favourite 3 major arcana are the Magician. Am I going to explain myself? I like that he's like the first one on the journey. I think that's such an interesting thing, that it's like you already have all the tools you need is the first step, because that always feels like, I don't know, in terms of like inner work, figuring that out feels like that comes quite a bit later in the process. But yeah, I suppose that like alchemical thing, there's something very creative, and the kind of the trickster thing I find really compelling, like the kind of le bateleur element to it, like the different sort of, to the other sort of magician. I was that kid. I realised I didn't have any playing cards, like normal playing cards, and I was like, I definitely used to have shit tons of them because I was, you know, the child magician. I was that autistic kid. Maybe people will like me if I can entertain them, says in a YouTube video. But yeah, they were all like the ones with the little stuff on the back so that you knew what card it was, so that you could do tricks and stuff. But yeah, I see a lot myself in the Magician, and it makes me laugh. I think it's like a little bit, it's probably the little, I think what's the name of it, like the infinity symbol thing, that I'm like, autism babe. The Lovers, I really like, I mean, it's my Gemini card. I suppose like in terms of majors, I'm thinking particularly like Marseille ones rather than Smith-Waite, which goes against what I've just said about the fact that I'm more familiar with the Smith-Waite. But yeah, so the trickster energy of the Magician, the choice communication thing of the Lovers, and that sort of yeah, I don't know, it's just something that I find really interesting, and I think it's funny that that's my card, because I don't think anyone would ever associate me with that, but I like it. And then the Tower, because I'm just so edgy. No, it's like, it's a card that came up for me a lot in like the beginning of my practice. It came up for me in that first ever reading. It's called Breakthrough in the deck that she used, in the deck that I had for, or still have, but I had for the first, you know, X number of years of my practice. And yeah, it's like the most battered card in that deck, because it just always was coming, which, you know, if I think about it in terms of like, I don't know, 13 to 23 or whatever, yeah, I'll take it. I would see that as a fair assessment of my teenage, young adult years. I had my palm read once, and he told me that according to my palm, the most stressful years of my life will be in my late 20s, and I was 26? Yeah, 26 when he told me that. I was just like, it can't be any worse. I won't manage if it's worse than my like early 20s. And I was just like, it has to be my early 20s. It absolutely has to be. You have to be wrong. I'm not. I refuse. But yeah, so it's like, it's a card I'm very familiar with. I find it quite funny. I find a lot of the really dark cards, or like typically dark cards in tarot, funny, because I think they're quite like dramatic, and I certainly, in terms of like my personal relationship with decks, in like, you know, personifying things as a treat, animistic type thing, my relationship with those sorts of cards is, yeah, just like that friend who's like a bit dramatic and things are always like the end of the world or the best thing ever, and just being like, all right babe, all right, I'm sure it feels like that right now, we'll be all right. And that's my relationship with, so like Ten of Swords is my birth decan, hilarious drama queen card, and the Tower, yeah, it's one of my favourites. I mean, I don't love when it comes up. If it comes up in a personal reading, I'm alright with it, because I'm like, this is my comfort zone. But if it turns up in like a client reading, then it's like, I hope you're okay. I hope everything's alright. Anyway, I'm really rambling. I really thought I wouldn't because I thought I'd be like nervous about doing the face-to-face thing, but now I've already forgotten that the camera's on. Which court do you consider your signifier or significator? So my birth one I think is King of Cups. Yeah, I think is, I don't know. I'm probably more Page of Swords, but I don't really, or I don't identify with any one of the court. I'm more of the mind that like they all live in all of us to a greater or lesser extent, and they're all just like aspects or parts that like they're not necessarily like fully fleshed out characters, they're just like parts of a whole. I don't really use significators. I wouldn't, it would feel like kind of a missed opportunity for a card, kind of. And, you know, talk to me again in a year, maybe I'll love it, because that's the magic of, you know, tarot in an ever-evolving practice. But as it stands, in my tarot practice, they've never really been relevant. Is cardstock a big deal for you? Not as much as it is to some people, but I think that was just that I was quite lucky with the first decks that I had, in that I didn't ever really experience dodgy cardstock, and so I was just like, oh, they all seem fine. I have had a couple of experiences in the last, I don't know, year or two where I'm like, oh, I get it. I get why people have opinions about cardstock. And also I have experienced some that I really like. So the Fyodor Pavlov and the Terra Volatile I think are lovely and delicious. I understand that like the squeaky is bad. I don't love that. And I have talked about if things are really like they clump up, or you get like really big friction between the cards, like that kind of excessively matte finish thing. But yeah, it's certainly not a deal breaker. Liminal 11 or Hay House comes out with a deck that I'm interested in, and I'm not like, oh, the cardstock. It's fine. I'll manage, generally. And if I don't, then I'll pass it on to somebody else, I guess. Do you read for others? Whenever I can. I love it so much. It is what gives my life meaning. No, that is too strong a thing on it. But every time I read for somebody else, it makes my little heart happy. It makes me feel like I'm good at something. It makes me feel like I have value in this world. Too much? It's what it feels like. And then number 10, number 1 deck you are excited to have come out this year. Are we talking tarot? Are we talking, so this is tarot community build. Mostly in terms of like Kickstarters and stuff, I've been on a bit of an oracle kick. There's just been some really fucking good concepts coming out, and I'm really excited for them. The one I was most excited for actually arrived while I was filming this video. I've already opened it. I've already cracked it open because I have no chill. It's the Anatomy of Healing deck that I saw on Joanna, Polish Folk Witches channel, and Cassandra, A Riffin Times channel. And I'm so excited to get into this. It was one of those decks where I was just waiting for something to be like not quite my cup of tea, because it was so specific. What she called it? It is like an oracle deck, but it does say, yeah, I don't know, something to do with like, it's the somatic thing, there's all these things, and it was ticking so many boxes. And I was hearing about it, and I saw these like flip throughs and walkthroughs and stuff, and I was just like, there's got to be something wrong with it. Like, there's just nothing has ever seemed more nichely specific to my interests, and like the art style of these like anatomical drawings. It was just wild to see something that I hadn't even thought. I mean, it's that thing, isn't it? Like, I hadn't even thought that I would want something like that, but it was just this combination of interests thrown into a thing that had never even occurred to me, and suddenly I was just like, oh my god, it's like my wildest dreams come to fruition, because, you know, I don't overstate these things. But yeah, so absolutely buzzing for that. But that has come out, and it is now in my grubby little mitts. What else is coming out this year? The Tierra May Oracle, the Chthonic Cave of Sybil, which does make me think of Sybil Faulty. I imagine not what she was going for, but yeah, if your sense of humour runs to that sort of like slightly vintage British thing, then let me know that that's what that name evokes for you too, so that I'm not alone. And I don't know what's coming out this year. I do these videos now, these window shopping videos, and apparently they go in one ear and out the other. I'm excited to see more about the Mindscapes one, that one that's all like oil pastels, oil paintings, like fine art paintings, that was a Majors Only Kickstarter, but it's got picked up for Hay House, but I think that's next year that that's coming out. I don't know. I don't know, basically. That's where we're up to. Lightning round questions. We've not even finished. I'm so sorry. Okay, coffee or tea? Tea. I can't drink coffee. I love coffee. I can't drink it that much. Oh, it can't be the caffeine because I can drink other stuff, but I don't know. There's something in coffee makes me not very well. Bouncing off the fucking walls, feeling like I'm having a heart attack, all that kind of good stuff. Colours or monochrome? I'm a sucker for a limited colour palette. If you've watched the window shopping videos, you know this. But I like pattern, and so that usually involves colours, like multiple colours. I don't know, I'm probably somewhere in the middle. Again, you can't make me choose. Unless something else has made me choose, like the caffeine thing. You can't make me choose. Cats or dogs? More of a cat person. Love dogs, have dog walked for many years. And you know, dog sitting, cat sitting, all of that kind of stuff. I think that they are great. I just feel that like spiritually I'm more of a cat person. I can be quite puppyish, I guess, but no, more of a cat person. Flora or fauna? Both, obviously, but Flora. I'm a herby person. I like plants and I grow things when I can, when energy permits. And being out in the woods makes me feel better about everything. Although fauna, yeah, the birds make me really happy, and the bats, I don't know. Favourite time of day? Insert picture of the Gemma Coral illustration. Not only an early bird or a night owl. Was it a permanently exhausted pigeon? Yeah, I don't know. My best time is probably about 2 PM because I've just had lunch and I haven't got into an afternoon slump yet. So I don't know if it's my favourite time of day, but it's the time that I am most functional. Favourite things besides tarot? All the things. All the things and none of the things. Why didn't I make notes for this one? Good job, Imogen. I really liked in Sarah's video where she did like cute little jump cuts with all of her interests. I could just look behind me. What are my other favourite things? Philosophy, stories, psychology with caveats, art, stationery, makeup, potions, witchcraft, herbs, other witchy things. There are probably a million other things that I cannot think of off the top of my head. History, beautiful things like art, interiors, architecture, sculpture, pottery, etc. Fuck me, I'm interested in everything. I like all the things. Yeah, it's not a very satisfying answer. But anyway, that is my contribution to this tarot community build that Libby came up with. Thank you also to Sarah for bringing it to my attention and giving me something to talk about in this video rather than just being like, I love you, thank you for being here. But I love you and thank you for being here. If you like this video, you could give it a like. You could even consider subscribing and join me for the next year of Sapling Tarot, Tarot Tube videos. I hope you're taking really good care of yourself and I will catch you in the next one. Bye! I wasn't recording any of that. That's great. Good for me. I've been doing this for a year. I'm so pro. Right.